Going to court can be a little scary. In this video, I'll tell you a myth that helps me to deal with the court system. The video is divided into 3 parts. Part 1 is the myth. Part 2 will be an explanation of the myth. And Part 3 will tell you how this myth points to victory. It might help to understand what I mean when I say the word myth. I define a myth as a story that you live, something played out and enacted in your everyday life. It's a story that you use as a model to navigate your experiences. The myth I'll be describing works for me, but don't take it too seriously. It's only one way out of many ways to think of the court system. I personally find it useful, and I hope you do as well. Part 1. The myth. I think of a trial as a battle taking place in a dragon's lair. You're a knight-errant on a quest that ends on the other side of a mountain. The quest is terribly important, probably a dozen eggs or copy paper or something. You have a magic sword, a sword that with practice breaks spells and enchantments. Your only goal is to finish your quest on the other side of the mountain. But on that mountain lives a dragon that eats people. The dragon is old and weak. It can only eat people in its lair where it feels safe. As you cross the mountain, the dragon lies within its lair and waits for you to pass. As you pass, it strikes and drags you in. Once you're in the lair of the dragon, it casts a magic spell to get you to walk into its jaws. But you remember your sword. You brandish your sword and break the enchanting spell. You do not walk into the dragon's jaws. Instead, you point your sword forward, directly into the gaping maw of the dragon. The dragon snaps at you, but stops when it pricks the back of its throat against your sword. The dragon rages in a great fury, and you keep your sword forward. The dragon tries to look at you from different angles, but you always keep your sword forward no matter where the dragon goes. Finally, the dragon realizes that it will slay itself against your sword if it tries to eat you. The dragon pulls back and allows you to leave, which you do, and then you go get your copy paper. Sword forward, total commitment. And that's the myth. I'd like to note that there's one other possible part to the story where the dragon devours you, and then you use your sword to rip open its belly. In this alternate version, you still live, and you still leave its lair intact for the other side of the mountain. This would be when you reverse the conviction on appeal, because of a due process error. Since my visual motif has nothing like that, I'll conveniently omit that part of the story for now, and pick it up in another video. Just note that even if the dragon devours you, there's still one last option. You cut the dragon's belly and destroy it from the inside. The focus in this video, however, is more on the general concept of the dragon, rather than specifics. Part 2. Because of the complexity, I'm going to subdivide this part into 3 sections. Part A is the meanings and descriptions of the symbols. Part B is consenting to be devoured. Part C is the flimsiness of their theater. Part A. The meanings and descriptions of the symbols. The dragon is the entirety of the court system total. The lair of the dragon is the individual court in which a particular court case takes place. The act of the dragon eating you is jurisdiction. The enchanting magic spell is the court proceeding itself. A dragon is really only a concept. As such, it does not exist in the 3D world. In a very real sense, the dragon is nothing more than the activities of helpers. The staff that make up the courts would be the judges, prosecutors, bailiffs, stenographers, clerks, and other ancillary personnel. The dragon isn't a physical thing. It's a concept applied to a bunch of people acting in concert. I like to think of the dragon as being like a phantom that haunts the minds of men. It's hard to tell a phantom from reality sometimes, and some phantoms seem so real that they're treated like they are real. When you're dealing with the court personnel, you're dealing with both the dragon and not dealing with the dragon at the same time. It depends on if the person has identified with you as a human. They may smile at you and treat you with civility and courtesy, but that doesn't mean there's any empathy behind their words. It only means that they're physically smiling at you. For the rest of this video, I may or may not refer to the dragon as though it's real, but always remember that there is no dragon outside of your mind. It's smoke and mirrors, phosphenes that fade and reveal that there was nothing there to begin with. The dragon's magic spell is a dance of confusion. It must trick you into walking into its maw. All of the dragon's attacks are in the form of spells, rituals, and enchantments, which at the end of the day is just a lot of complicated fluff. The court and the proceedings are designed to confuse you. The idea is that if you're confused, you'll want to avoid making decisions for yourself, and instead, you'll want to ask someone else to make decisions for you. If you don't fall for the magic trick, then the dragon is powerless. Section B. Consenting to be devoured. This part is also kind of big, so as before, I'll subdivide this into 3 tiny bits. All of this will revolve around consenting to be devoured by the dragon. First tiny bit is the spell. The second tiny bit is the eating of people. And the third tiny bit is the walk. First tiny bit, the spell. The dragon is weak and can't devour you without you walking into its mouth. One of the reasons the spell is so complicated is because it wears you down mentally. You're more likely to defer to others if you're confused or mentally exhausted. When you start asking for help or allowing others to make decisions for you, this outwardly looks like consent. It outwardly looks like you're voluntarily walking into the dragon's mouth. Second tiny bit. We have the eating of people. I like to think of jurisdiction as consuming. When you're being consumed, you're at the mercy of the one doing the eating. They may eat your skin and toss the rest of you aside, or maybe they'll tear you apart and eat your bones. You don't know. They can digest you as much or as little as they please. In the context of a court case, this would mean they might fine you, sentence you to jail, declare you mentally unfit, insane, or maybe they'll let you out, maybe they'll let you go out of the kindness and benevolence of their heart. No matter what, though, they're getting something out of you, even if it's only a couple days of your life. The fact that you had to interact with them at all will be enough for them to satisfy their claims of legitimacy. Better still if they can get a pound of flesh from you in the form of fines and fees. Your time, money, and property are the things on which the dragon feasts. Deny it this feast, and it wastes energy on something it cannot devour. Which brings me to the last tiny point. The tiny bit number 3 is the walk into the mouth. The facade of consent is all they really want or need. It's for the spectators. Since there is no 3D dragon, you have to make believe that there is a dragon, and then you have to make believe that you're walking into the dragon's mouth. In this sense, you cannot enter the dragon without willingly doing so. Whether or not the dragon's helpers notice this is another issue. Don't consent, agree, capitulate, or acquiesce to the demands of the dragon, for if you do so, then it will look as though you willingly walked into the mouth of the dragon. You must cut through the spell and make it obvious that you're not interacting with the dragon willingly, for if you do not give any resistance, they will infer your lack of resistance as an indication of consent. They don't care about your consent. They only care that you do something that they can interpret as consent. Do not give them your consent, not explicitly or implicitly. Section C. The flimsiness of their theater. The good news is that their spells are inherently fragile and flimsy. Always remember that these are just people and the court proceedings are just a show. The guy calling himself the bailiff is just some guy named Gary or Bob or something. If you break the spell in front of him, he might go back to being Gary, in which case you have a potential ally down the road. The helpers are just putting on a show to scare you because they like to think it's real. Destroy the illusion and they go back to being normal people. The spell is weak for 2 reasons. The first is that it's all a mind game. The second is that it depends on people participating. The moment people stop participating in the dragon, the spell is broken, and the dragon is weak. When the dragon is weak, it fears for its life. This is a critical point. If the dragon spends energy snapping and biting, the enchantment is broken. The helpers need to see the dragon as good. If the dragon eats people without their consent, then the dragon looks bad. The helpers will not help the dragon if it looks bad. The dragon mercilessly snapping at unwilling prey might be good for the dragon in the short run, but not in the long run. The helpers will abandon the dragon. Without people participating in the magic spell, the existence of the dragon is in question. Part 3. What's the winning move? Refuse to walk into the mouth of the dragon. The spell is designed to get you to acquiesce. When you refuse to acquiesce, you've already broken the spell. Point your sword up and into the mouth of the dragon. Show the dragon that you'll take it down with you. It really boils down to non-compliance. The one thing the dragon cannot handle is non-compliance. Breaking the spell cast on you will tend to break the spell for others around you. The dragon will want to stop the spread of non-compliance as fast as possible. Since the dragon is in your head, just remember that this is all a show. There is no dragon. There's nothing to walk into anyway. It's just a helper making crazy demands on behalf of a beast that doesn't even exist. So don't play their game. Which brings me to the spell-breaking sword, the weapon you'll be using against them. There is a single weapon that can cut through their magic. That weapon is the opposite of magic and enchantment. Facts. The only thing the judge cannot override are facts. That's your sword. That's what cuts through all of their elaborate costume drama and ritual. I like to refer to this as the Excalibur question.